So for the past few weeks, we've been talking about temptations and sins and all those things that drive us away or lead us away or confuse us from the way. And today I want to talk about the greatest temptation of all. The greatest temptation of all is to think that when you think about your life, is to think that your life is about you. That's the greatest temptation of all. And it might seem silly, it might seem odd, like of course it's about me, but your life is absolutely 100% not about you. And as soon as you start thinking that your life is about you, you will fall into one of two problems. Either you will begin to think, you'll become bitter. You'll begin to think, well, how come all these things are happening to me? Why isn't God helping me out? Where is God in my need? And all these things are going wrong in my life and nothing's going right. And how come I am not being given those things that I deserve? Or you will become prideful and you'll look at those blessings that you've been given and you'll become entitled. And you'll think, well, I earned it. I got it. It's all mine. Everything around me is because I have made it so, and everybody else should just be like me and get on with it because I'm the best that there was. Neither of these are a good way, and they all fall into the same category, which is a sin. And what happens is when we decide that we're not going to look at our blessings, or we think that our blessings are our entitlements, then all of a sudden we tend to forget about other people. Remember, it's not about you. And what happens is then other things that aren't around you become an inconvenience. I can't go and I do this. I don't want to do this. It's out of my way. I don't feel like going all that far. This is hard. This is costly. This is time-consuming. And all of a sudden, there's no one that you want to help or be around. You ever had something go wrong in your life? Has it ever happened at a convenient moment ever? Okay, so then what happens is if you are only living for you and you're not willing to inconvenience yourself or bear somebody else's burden, then you are about as worthless as they come. Because who are you good for if anybody but you? No, you're only there for you, which means your motives that you are living for you means you're good for only you. And this isn't why you were put on the earth. In fact, the Bible is pretty clear that if you live for you, you have received your reward. If the reason you're living is to get what you can get out of the world, out of the life, out of the people and the things around you, the Bible says, well, good, then you have already gotten your reward. There's not much left waiting for you. Soak it up while you can. Because the world is full of temptations. It's all about you. Have it your way because you're worth it. I didn't make these words up. I stole them from commercials. Right? Maybe now if I say it again, maybe you'll hear it. It's all about you. That was an airline. Have it your way. That's a burger company because you're worth it. That's a cosmetics company. I think they do soap or something like this. I'm confused. There we go. Okay. So we talked about spirits. We talked about demons. We talked about devils. We talked about Satan. We talked about all these spiritual, supernatural beings that might try to guide you from the way. And all they do is fill with lies. And the greatest, most easiest lie is us, is our bodies, is the body itself. Pleasure of the flesh, and that's what Paul calls it, pleasure of the flesh, is the easiest of all the ways in which we go our own way. Now, when I say pleasures of the flesh, I'm sure you all think accurately of sex, drugs, and alcohol or something like this. And that's accurate. That's fine. But those aren't the most insidious ones. The most insidious pleasures of the flesh are laziness and selfishness. Pleasure comes in wonderful, cushy places like comfort or greed. Oh, I can't help them out. I wouldn't have enough for myself. See, if we came across somebody and they had track marks going up their arm from all the heroin, right? We would look at that person and we would say, oh, man, they need help. How can we help them? It's so obvious they have a problem. They're addicted to a drug. That drug controls them. They're a slave to that. They need help. And society says, oh, man, that's bad. We shouldn't do that. But the more insidious of the problems is the ones that society says are okay. If there was a heroin farm, we'd all go, oh, no. But there are stores devoted to comfort and laziness. Right? Okay, yeah. Let me just kick this chair back, find a golf game, and tune out for a little bit. The Bible's very clear. It says the rich have already received their reward. Their reward is not waiting for them in heaven. They have already been given it. And I know what you're all thinking. Well, I'm not rich. Well, yeah, that's because you know people who have yachts the size of school buses. But we are, every last one of us, the rich. There's a website called globalrichlist.com. It's down at the bottom there. Hope you can see that. I typed into it $30,000. You can't live in Fleming Island for $30,000 a year. $30,000, however, on the grand world scheme puts you in the 1%. Think of that for a second. That means that all of us here are well and beyond the richest people in the world. So when Jesus talks about the rich, he's talking about us. The thing that scares the eternity out of me is the never-ending, relentless streams that come at us, that tell us that we should be the center of our world. And when we do that, when we buy into that, because let's be honest, it's nice to comfort ourselves. It's good to have air conditioning and pillows that conform to our head and all these things that we have taken for granted in our life. But these are the things that slowly pull us away. Jesus' core message is don't get lost in life. He said it's easier for a rich man to enter the eye of a needle, for a camel to enter the eye of a needle than a rich person to enter into heaven. Why? Why did he say that? It's because the rich, us, we are so focused on ourselves and our world that we don't pay attention to the reality, which is not about us. It's about others. And we very easily get lost thinking that life is about us. Jesus said, hate your life. If you hate your life, that's how you'll keep eternity. What does he mean? Well, I'll tell you what he doesn't mean. He doesn't mean go paint your nails black and wear a bunch of dark eyeliner and purple clothing and go be an emo goth or something and cry a lot. That's not what he's talking about. That's not the hate about life. You don't need to go to iTunes and download the entire catalog of The Cure. Okay, you can, and if you happen to do that hairstyle, I will dance for you. But Jesus wasn't talking about hating your life in that way, in the way of some kind of depressed teenager. He said, hate your life, and that means to be selfless. That means to think that my life, my things, the things that I want to do in my life, they're not as important as doing other things. It's not about you, remember? Now there was a famous question asked in the Bible, who's my neighbor? But I want to ask another question, who are you? Who's the you? Well, the you is this. There's three yous. There's the you, that's you yourself. There's the you, that's anybody that shares DNA with you. And there's the you, anybody who married somebody who shares DNA with you. So who's you? You, your DNA, or anybody married to your DNA. So you encompasses your family. If a mother gets up at 2 in the morning and takes care of her baby at 2 in the morning and is up for hours taking care of that baby, we will all sympathize. That is a thing that parents have to go through. But nobody's going to say, wow, how selfless of you. You should have just let that baby cry. It probably didn't need the food, and who cares about the diaper? No, we all understand that the mother's going to take care of the baby. Fathers take care of their children. Parents take care of their children. Grandparents take care of their children and grandchildren. And great-grandparents seem to take care of everybody. So what do I mean by that? I mean you, your DNA, and anybody married to your DNA is you. When Jesus said, lose your life, he meant also to your family. Famously, Jesus said, I come with a sword to pit mother against daughter, father against son. And that's what he meant. He meant to say there's going to be problems because if ever you decide that you are going to hate your life and you have to choose between your family and your God, there's going to be trouble, especially if your family's not on the same page. And even if they are, this is why Jesus told us that you have to lose your life. the way that we lose our life, the way that we go out into the world and we do these good works, these reflect a reality. I know that many of you have been doing Lenten disciplines, you've been giving up something, or maybe you've taken something on. Those Lenten disciplines reflect a spiritual truth, that God is so important in your life that you aren't going to eat while the sun is up, or you're not going to watch TV. There was somebody who did that. Wow, gave up Netflix. Can't do that. Give up social media. I did do that. Or whatever else it is that you did. You've reflected a spiritual truth that God means so much to you that you're going to do this thing for Lent. Well, it's the same thing in our lives. If you're a sports fan, you have a shirt or a hat or some kind of a memorabilia that say, Buckeyes, best team in the world, right? You all have this, don't you? Yeah, okay, some of you agree. The other ones of you have dogs on your shirts. We don't talk about them. Yeah? If you work hard, you have hands of leather, right? That's the reflection of the reality. The reality is that you work hard for a living, and your hands show that reality. If you're a Christian, your life reflects the glory of God, which means you bear fruit. Not because it's convenient, not because it fits into your schedule or it's along the way. In fact, it's the opposite. When it's not convenient, when it doesn't fit into your schedule, when you have to go out of your way, that's when fruit is born. That's the very definition of it. Why would you do this? Why would you go all the way and do these things? Well, God loved me so much, all I want to do is just reflect some of that love back out into the world. Y'all doing it now. What is worship other than an inconvenience? We could all find lazy boys that we could kick back in. I'm sure all of you could find something to do with this time right now. You could all find better things, warmer cups of coffee or better coffee or donuts or pancakes or whatever else you wanted to do on a Sunday and do it. There's a golf course calling your name. But you've gave it up. You said, no, at least for this hour right here, I'm going to give this to God. I'm going to spend some time and show God how valuable He is on this day. Worship is a bearing of a fruit. And there's other opportunities. That's what this is. We do at this church. There was somebody, I don't want to know, please don't tell me, don't raise your hand, I don't want even a hint, who bought a whole bunch of pans for the Kids First. Right? We call them kids. They're about to age out and become adults. They're going to go out in the world, and they don't have things. Somebody went and bought a whole bunch of pans. Now, the best part about these pans is these kids, these adults, are going to take these pans, they're going to put them on the ovens wherever they live in the world, and they're going to cook their food. I mean, the things that they do every day. You can't help but look at that pan in your hand and see the love of God. And that person who gets that pan, and this is why I don't want to know, that person who gets that pan, they're never going to know who gave them that pan. Which means that pan is nothing other than the glory of God. The person who bought that pan can't say, I bought it, I wrote my name on the back so that every time they use it, they can say thank you to me. And it has my text number so they can text me. They're never going to know. Which means that gift is only for the glory of God. And we do other things like that. That's why we collect an offering, right? If you're a visitor here, I ask you, I tell you, don't put anything in the offering plate. This thing that we do here called Crossroad, this is us coming together so that we can support this building, so that we can draw people in, so that everybody can know the Word of God, and then we go out. If you're not a member, it's not part of your deal to support this building. You are the called in. When you're ready to support this building and bear the burden and be inconvenienced and be a fruit bearer, then put in the offering plate. Then say, hey, God, I want to support your mission through what we're doing here at Crossroad, which is what members do, support that mission. The inconvenience is what makes it beautiful. The reflection of God is what makes it righteous. So we go out into the world and we do amazing things so that why? So that we can, at Crossroad, have our name attached to great things and the community can go, oh, wow, look at that church over there. No, that's not it. We do it simply because God said do it. We go out in the world because God said, love my people. He took Peter aside. Jesus knew he was going to be leaving. Right? This is so pertinent now because Jesus is about to ascend. He's going to go on that cross. He pulled Peter aside. He said, Peter, do you love my people? And Peter said, yeah, Jesus. And he said, feed them. Peter said, all right, I got that. And Jesus said, Peter, do you love my people? Do you love my flock? Peter said, yeah, Jesus. He said, feed my flock. Jesus said, Peter, do you love my people? Jesus! Yes! Feed my people. Every November, we do the hunger fight. We started with just a little bit. We started with just one skid, one pallet. It was a good little hunk. Let me tell you, it was great. We fed thousands of people with that little bit. And when you are a recipient of that, it's like this little plastic bag. It's not like the cardboard boxes you get at the grocery store. It's a very different thing. When you open that, you know that somebody who loves God gave it to you. The reason you have food is because somebody who loves God loves you. This last November, we went even further. We filled up 4 pallets. We're making huge dents. It's not enough, it's not too much to say that if we keep at the trajectory we're going and we pull other churches along with us, you know people from other churches, hey, we do this thing in November, you got to get on board. There are people in Orange Park and surrounding areas, Fleming Island and Green Cove, who won't go hungry. And I don't think it's ridiculous to say that we can solve hunger within a 20-mile radius of us. Solve it. I don't think that's too big. And that's not me. That's because we have decided that we're going to bear fruit. And it's an inconvenience. It takes thousands of dollars to feed tens of thousands of people. And I think that we can go even further. I know we can. I've seen it. And when we do these things, when we bear these fruits, we don't earn brownie points. It's not as if, hey, okay, I have an accountant up in heaven, and he's taking track, and he's adding, and subtracting, and okay. No, that's not how it works. You ever wonder if you have salvation? You ever wonder when you die, what's it going to be like? Will you have a good experience? You ever wonder about that? Here, I can give you the answer. I can give you the answer. I can put it in your hand when you come and take the communion, the Eucharist. And then when you do these things, not to earn brownie points, but simply just to be the love of the Lord in the world, that's proof of your righteousness. It's proof that you've reoriented your life for God. It's proof that says God comes first and I come second. I'm going to sacrifice my time, my money, my talents for God. When you do these things, when you inconvenience yourself as a follower, you expose yourself as a follower. And Jesus said, those who follow me will meet my Father. Dying to your own self-interests exposes you to an eternal interest. So that at the end of your life, you won't have to worry or wonder. You'll have lost your life now, so that eternally you will have it.